It's Wednesday, the 3rd of May, 2023. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, we have 5 stories in 5 minutes. I reckon these could be the 5 biggest stories we've covered in one show. So let's jump straight into it. Story number 1, the Reserve Bank lifted interest rates by 25 basis points yesterday, surprising market watchers, triggering a tumble in equities, a jump in the Aussie dollar, and adding more to home loan repayments all at the same time.
Yes, on a $750,000 loan over 25 years, it's about $119 a month. Since the beginning of May last year, you'll be paying on a $750,000 loan, $1,600, $1,700 a month more. It's a hell of a lot. There's been 11 increases in interest rates in 12 meetings. It takes the benchmark cash rate to 3.85%. The central bank board said though inflation has passed its peak, it remains too high and will take some time to be brought back into the Reserve Bank's target range of 2 to 3%. It doesn't think that's going to happen till mid-2025. Not jumping on inflation now will lead to much worse consequences in the future, the bank reckons.
So are there more rate rises coming then?
Well, yes, the Reserve Bank board said some further tightening might be required, but it depends on how things progress from here. Obviously, the bank's watching inflation closely. It's also looking at the labour market, looking at household spending, which is slowing, and developments in the global economy. The risk, which some economists are now talking about, is a recession. Has the Reserve Bank gone too hard, slowing down the economy?
So what's your take then on all of this, Sean?
Look, we know the bank is close to ending the rate rising cycle. Yesterday's increase, while not forecast, isn't a surprise. You can't blame the central bank for being overly wary of inflation and inflation expectations. I mean, you'd rather them overdo it than underdo it. What we do need is to see some loosening in the labour market. We need to see inflation continuing to fall, and we need to see a fiscally responsible budget from the government next week. That is very important.
Yeah, sure is. On to story number 2, Sean, a big one as well. The board of Qantas has picked Vanessa Hudson, the chief financial officer, to take over from Alan Joyce as CEO of the national carrier from November.
Hudson is a 28-year veteran at Qantas and one of the first female CEOs in the aviation world. She beat out about 40 other people, including the other lead internal candidate, Olivia Wirth, and is perhaps best known for successfully leading the airline's finances through the COVID pandemic. In a press conference yesterday, she said it was an absolute honour to get the job. She said she understood that the customer experience late last year wasn't what it should have been, and the carrier has spent $200 million to fix things. She also wants to have a constructive relationship with the unions. Joyce said it was time to go after 15 years in the job, said the moment was bittersweet. Qantas' share price ended the day down 2.7% yesterday.
Story number 3, Australia is going to phase out vaping, with Health Minister Mark Butler saying the rise of vaping, particularly among young Australians, threatens to undo decades of public health progress on smoking.
Butler said vaping has now become the number one behavioural issue in high schools and is becoming widespread in primary schools. He pointed out that vapes contain more than 200 chemicals that don't belong in the lungs. Now, it was supposed to be a way for smokers to quit, but instead it's become a recreational product. 1 in 6 teenagers between the ages of 14 and 17 have vaped, 1 in 4 between the ages of 18 and 24. Butler also said the tax on tobacco will be increased by 5% a year for 3 years, starting from September 1. That'll raise about $3.3 billion. Means in a few years' time, a pack of 25 cigarettes is going to cost close to $50.
Story number 4, annual rents across the country have risen by 10% over the past year, while in the capital city, Sean, they're up by 12%, which is a new record.
We hear plenty about rising rents, and these CoreLogic figures show just how much higher rents are. And in petrol prices, cost of energy, food inflation, there are many people out there doing it very tough. Rents are being driven higher by the mismatch of supply and demand, i.e. a surge in migrants, international students has pushed up demand, but capital city rental listings are about 40% under the 5-year average, not helping near record low vacancy rates in most capital cities. Now, last month, Melbourne rent recorded the biggest rise, followed by Sydney and Melbourne. Melbourne has now lost the mantle as the most affordable rental market with an average price of $535 per week. That's above Adelaide's $534 per week. Sydney is least affordable at $711 per week. It's a lot of money to pay out in rent, Michael.
Yeah, sure is. All right, last one, Sean. Story number 5. People are increasingly heading to the pub, not to drink, but to eat. It sounds just vaguely un-Australian, don't you think?
I think it is. It's the view of Steve Donoghue, boss of Endeavour Group, which owns 353 hotels, including 12,000 poker machines, 264 Dan Murphy outlets and 1,437 BWS stores. He said sales in pubs for the 3 months to the beginning of this month jumped close to 20% compared to a year ago. He said a desire to socialise post-COVID was the big driver, with more focus on eating than drinking. Another trend he's noticed is more people driving to bottle shops and liquor outlets to buy alcohol rather than buying online. In the gaming side of the business, turnover has returned to its pre-pandemic share. Looks like the chicken schnitty advocates are winning.
Yes, it would appear that way, Sean. All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Wednesday, the 3rd of May, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. If 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. And of course, the Amazon Echo smart speaker as well comes with Alexa built in. Simply say, Alexa, play the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed podcast to catch the latest episode. You can grab yours now at amazon.com.au. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.